Welcome to A Better Path Through Grief, where we explore a better path on our journey through grief. I'm your host, Lamina Davis, and today's episode will explore a topic that touches the hearts of many, myself included, coping with the anniversary of losing a loved one. This episode is intentionally being released on the 7-year anniversary of the accident that took the lives of 4 young men and seriously injured another. If you had listened to my past podcast episodes, I tell you the story in detail of the day that my son was taken from me. There's always a timeline that leads up to this tragic day in my head, starting about mid-March. I replay it day by day every year, and with that, my anxiety grows because I know what that timeline is leading up to. A couple of weeks ago, we celebrated Good Friday, and it was a hard day for me. It has always been a hard day for me for the past 7 years. I may not have mentioned in previous episodes that on April 14th, 2017, which is the day of the accident, that date fell on Good Friday. So now I can't associate Good Friday with anything else. And I know in itself it is a sad day, but I can't separate what it truly means to celebrate Good Friday because of the accident actually happening on Good Friday. So now when I think of Good Friday, I think of the accident and the loss of my son. My therapist is working with me on that. We're about to dive into ways I can separate and train myself to think of the day as what it's meant to be thought of, but again, it's still a sad day. For those of you who are not especially religious or don't follow the teachings of the Bible, Good Friday represents the crucifixion and death of Jesus Christ. Christians, I'm doing air quotes here, celebrate the fact that Jesus died for our sins on this day. So when I say it's a sad day, it truly is, but it's also a happy day because, not to get into the religious aspect of everything, had he not died for our sins, we wouldn't be here. But I can't separate that true meaning of Good Friday from losing my son on Good Friday. And I'm learning to try and separate the two. I think that the anniversary of a loved one's passing can bring forth a flood of emotions, and it certainly does for me. As I said, the timeline just creeps along. I can pinpoint what I was doing on each day leading up to the accident. And with each day, the anxiety grows, the emotions grow. I posted on Facebook a couple of days ago that I cried twice because I ran across our tribute video that the parents of the other victims and the survivors did. And I had taken that video and made a special copy for just my family because my family sent in messages that I could add to the video. So I took the original video and tacked on those messages along with personal home video clips of my son and pictures. So I ran across that on this day, and it sent me into an emotional spiral where I cried twice. So I posted on Facebook, and because I want to keep things raw and real, if someone else is experiencing this, and I do know people who are, I want them to feel like they're not alone. They're not going crazy. Unfortunately, this is normal. You have your days where you're great and you're just going along and having a good day, and then all of a sudden you're an emotional wreck. No matter how long it's been since your loved one passed away, it hits you unexpectedly every time. Just it just takes you by surprise. Like I said, the anniversary of a loved one's passing, it brings forth a lot of emotion. How can we navigate the delicate terrain of emotions that we feel? How can we honor the memory of our loved ones while also caring for ourselves? Because it is very important to care for yourself during this time as well. I think it's essential to acknowledge our feelings and allow ourselves to feel whatever arises without judgment. Grief is a natural response to loss. And it's okay to experience a mix of emotions, even if they seem contradictory. For me personally, I can be remembering my son and his silliness and laughing at what he did, because the boy, he was a clown and he loved to make people laugh. And one minute I'm laughing at, memories of him cutting up. And then the next minute in my head, I'm like, he's not here to do that anymore. He's not here to make me laugh or cut up. And then I go from laughing to bawling my eyes out. I've cried several times in the weeks leading up to this day. I don't avoid the emotions. Lord knows I've wanted to, but at some point I knew I could not stay in my sadness and heartbreak. So I made plans to honor my son with traditions. We talked about that before in our holiday episode about honoring our loved ones with traditions. And I decided last year that I designated this day to my first day of gardening. And the first thing that I do is plant impatient flowers under his memorial tree that I planted for him. To me, that's just honoring him by planting flowers under his tree. So I've decided that I'm going to do that every year in honor of him, and I will not plant anywhere else until April 14th. It's been a tradition to go out to the crash site every year and release balloons. I usually change his little fake flowers. We have a memorial set up where there's 4 crosses for the 4 boys, and I usually get fake flowers and kind of stick them down in the dirt by his cross. I usually change him out every year. You can consider creating a ritual or a tribute to honor your loved ones on, the day of their loss, whether it's lighting a candle or visiting their favorite place or simply just spending time reminiscing. I would suggest finding a way to express your love and gratitude for the time you shared together. I'm having a hard time with that. I have the good memories where I laugh, but then it always circles back to the loss and the accident and the replaying in my head. And so, as I said with my therapist, I'm working on a lot, and it's about to get real difficult. She's warned me. Shortly after my son passed away, I created a memorial for him in my backyard. As I said, I created a seating area, like a little bench. One of my dearest friends, he brought my little chicken scratch drawing to life. So now every time I look out my office window, I see his tree. I see the bench. I go and I sit and I just talk to him. Like I said, every year on the anniversary of his passing, I will plant flowers under his tree. To me, it marks a new beginning on to spring, because I won't do anything else until April 14th. That, to me, that's the starting of a new beginning. I don't want to be sad. I want to start anew, I guess you could say. During this time, it is also important to reach out to support. I went to church this morning because I knew I didn't want to be alone. And you don't have to navigate this alone either. It's important to share your feelings with trusted friends and family members, or consider joining a support group where you can connect with others who understand what you're going through. The purpose of this podcast is to bring people who have experienced loss and grief together as a community so that we can be there for each other. And like I said, I went to church today just to be surrounded by those who care about me. Otherwise, I would have been in this house alone with my thoughts, reliving that awful day over and over in my head. And I didn't want to do that. I knew that was what was going to happen. I got calls from family and friends asking if I was okay, and don't ever stop checking on me. But in my mind, it's a reminder. Like I could be fine, and then I get a call, and then I'm reminded of what day it is and what occurred on this day. We all should take time to nurture ourselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually, especially. Engage in activities that bring us comfort and solace, whether it's spending time in nature. I planted flowers, practicing mindfulness, or engaging in creative expression. I plan on watching a few shows, maybe read a book or play video games. I'm going to focus on the things that I enjoy doing. I think we all should remember that healing is a journey, and it's okay to seek professional help if you're struggling to cope. Therapy can provide valuable support and guidance as you navigate the complexities of grief. As we approach the end of today's episode, I want to leave you with the reminder that while the anniversary of losing a loved one can be a challenging time, trust me, I know, it can also be an opportunity for reflection, growth, and honoring the enduring impact that they've had on our lives. I'd like to let you guys in on a little side note. Exactly 1 year ago today, I released the first episode of this podcast. I guess you could say it's another anniversary that I could associate this day with. Either way, I'd like to thank you guys for sticking with me on this journey, and hopefully we are creating a community where we help each other out. Thank you all for joining me today. If you found this episode helpful, please consider sharing it with others who may benefit. Until next time, take care, give yourself grace, be gentle with yourself as you continue your journey through a better path through grief.